Welcome, Eduxplorers. Today, we journey to the heart of one of the world's most celebrated national holidays, Bastille Day. We invite you to join us as we delve deep into the pomp, the patriotism, and the passion that encapsulates this remarkable day. I'm thrilled to guide you through an adventure filled with rich history, revolution, and of course, revelry. Together, we will trace the origins of Bastille Day, explore its evolution, and discover the traditions that make this day a unique blend of solemnity and celebration. From the storming of the Bastille in 1789, which sparked the French Revolution, to the grand parades, fireworks, and communal feasts of today, Bastille Day symbolizes the resilient spirit of France. So buckle up, Eduxplorers, as we unravel the tale behind Bastille Day, and witness how history and festivity weave an intriguing French tapestry. Background and origin of Bastille Day. Our journey begins in the year 1789, a time when the French society was a simmering pot of social and political discontent. To truly comprehend the significance of Bastille Day, we must first understand the dynamics of 18th-century France. The France of 1789 was vastly divided into three estates. The first and second estates comprised the clergy and the nobility respectively, who enjoyed numerous privileges, while the burden of taxation fell heavily on the third estate, the common people who constituted the majority of the population. Compounding this social inequality were economic crises. Wars had drained France's treasury, bread prices were soaring, and harvests had been poor. France was a nation on the brink. Formation of the National Assembly. In an attempt to address the economic crisis, King Louis XVI called for a meeting of the Estates General, an assembly representing the three estates, in May 1789. However, the voting system in place only exacerbated the discord. Despite being the majority, the Third Estate had the same voting power as the other two estates, a point of contention that led to a revolutionary act. The Third Estate delegates, along with a few from the First and Second Estates, proclaimed themselves as the National Assembly. This act was an assertion of the people's authority over the monarchy. The National Assembly vowed to draft a constitution that would limit the king's power, a move that signaled the dawn of a new political landscape in France. The formation of the National Assembly was a bold step, but the events that would follow stoked the revolutionary flames even further. One such event was the dismissal of Jacques Necker by King Louis XVI. Necker, a popular figure among the Third Estate, was seen as a beacon of hope in a government dominated by the aristocracy. His attempts to reform the French financial system and his sympathy towards the common people had endeared him to the masses. His dismissal on July 11, 1789, was seen as a direct attack on the people. It ignited outrage among the masses, leading to protests and violence. The public sentiment had shifted, and the revolution was about to take a drastic turn. Three days after Necker's dismissal, an event occurred that would forever be etched in the annals of French history: the storming of the Bastille. The Bastille, originally built to protect Paris during the 100 Years' War, had become a state prison under the reign of Louis XVI. More than its function, the Bastille stood as a potent symbol of the monarch's absolute power, housing political prisoners who dared to oppose the king. On July 14, 1789, an enraged mob, driven by the news of Necker's dismissal and the escalating crisis, stormed the Bastille. It was a massive assault involving thousands of Parisians. They demanded the release of prisoners and the surrender of the arms stored there. The fall of the Bastille was far more than a prison break. It represented the first major act of defiance by the people against the king, marking a decisive break from the shackles of monarchy. While the Bastille held only a handful of prisoners at the time, its capture was a powerful statement. The people of Paris, the commoners, had successfully risen against an emblem of royal tyranny. The spirit of revolution was now in full swing. The repercussions of the storming of the Bastille were profound. The news spread like wildfire across France, igniting a chain of revolts. The French Revolution was no longer a distant dream. It was a vivid reality. In the face of the escalating revolution, the monarchy was forced to acknowledge the burgeoning power of the people. Louis XVI reappointed Necker and even recognized the National Assembly. Meanwhile, the revolutionaries, bolstered by their victory, started organizing themselves into revolutionary municipalities and the National Guard. While we stand here today in a peaceful Place de la Bastille, it's profound to imagine the echoes of revolution that once resonated here. The storming of the Bastille is not just a historical event. It's a symbol of the triumph of the people's will over tyranny, and it set the stage for the France we know today. Introducing the first celebrations, the Fête de la Fédération in 1790. Genesis of the Fête de la Fédération. A year after the historic storming of the Bastille, the French decided to commemorate the event with a national celebration, the first Bastille Day, also known as the Fête de la Fédération. The idea for the Fête de la Fédération was a way to celebrate the newfound unity of the French people. The idea was to not just mark the anniversary of the storming, but to underline the French values of liberty, equality, and fraternity. The Fête de la Fédération was to be a nationwide celebration, but the most significant festivities were planned for Paris, on the Champ de Mars, a large public green space near the Eiffel Tower's present location. Preparations for the Fête de la Fédération were a massive endeavor. It was to be a grand affair, one that involved not just Paris but the whole nation. Paris buzzed with activity in the days leading up to July 14, 1790. Citizens from all walks of life joined hands to transform Champ de Mars into an enormous amphitheater that could accommodate hundreds of thousands of people. It was an incredible show of unity, a display of the very principles that the fête was meant to celebrate. King Louis XVI took an oath to uphold the Constitution, a symbolic moment that underscored the shift in French society. This was followed by a grand military parade, a tradition that continues to this day. The day was filled with music, dances, and joyous celebration, culminating in a spectacular fireworks display. The public response to the Fête de la Fédération was overwhelmingly positive. People rejoiced in the streets, their hearts filled with pride and hope. For many, it marked the dawn of a new era, a shift from a monarchy to a society that values liberty, equality, and fraternity. From 1790 to 1880, the evolution of Bastille Day. Following the grandeur of the first Fête de la Fédération, the commemoration of Bastille Day took various forms, reflecting the ever-changing political landscape of France. After the Revolution, France went through a turbulent phase, marked by political instability, the rise and fall of Napoleon Bonaparte, and the restoration of the monarchy. These shifts in power brought changes to the celebration of Bastille Day. During the reign of Napoleon Bonaparte, Bastille Day was not formally recognized, with Napoleon's military victories and the glory of the French Empire taking center stage. However, the spirit of the day lived on in the hearts of the people. Despite the lack of official recognition, many French citizens continued to commemorate Bastille Day privately, keeping the revolutionary spirit alive. Establishment as a national holiday in 1880. It wasn't until 1880, almost a century after the storming of the Bastille, that Bastille Day was officially established as a national holiday. Debate about whether to recognize Bastille Day as a national holiday had been ongoing for years, but it was finally settled in 1880. The French Senate approved a proposal by the politician Benjamin Raspail to officially celebrate July 14 as a national day. As we move forward in our journey, we find ourselves in 1958 with the dawn of the Fifth Republic. It was a pivotal time in French history, and it ushered in significant changes and new traditions in the Bastille Day celebrations. Under the dynamic leadership of President Charles de Gaulle, the Bastille Day celebrations were reinvigorated. The military parade, which until then had been an intermittent feature, was institutionalized as an annual fixture of the Bastille Day celebrations. This grand parade down the Champs-Élysées was not just a display of France's military prowess, but it also underscored its commitment to peace and international cooperation. Interestingly, the parade often saw participation from troops of France's allies, showcasing the spirit of global unity. And it wasn't just the military aspect that was enhanced. The celebrations also started becoming a symbol of French unity and national pride, resonating with the spirit of the French Republic: liberty, equality, fraternity.